The addiction is not the primary problem, it's an attempt to solve a problem. And then the real question is, how did the problem arise? Addiction treatment is failing is because physicians don't understand this. They keep dealing with the effects, which is the addiction, and the behaviors, which are the effects of the addiction, but not the cause, which is the childhood distress. So an addiction is a complex psychological, physiological process, but which manifests in any behavior that a person enjoys, finds relief in, and therefore craves in the short term, but suffers negative consequences in the long term and doesn't give up despite the negative consequences.
If you want to know how to deal with your addiction to cigarettes, stick around until the end of this video, and you will learn everything you need to know about addiction and what you can do to overcome your addiction to nicotine. Hey everyone, this is Eddie here, and as a quit smoking specialist, I help my clients who want to quit smoking to easily quit without cravings and anxiety in as little as just one session. If you haven't heard about Dr. Gabor Maté, he is the renowned addiction expert, speaker, best-selling author on a range of topics, including addiction, stress, and childhood development. Before we understand more about addiction, let's talk about the definition of addiction. Here's how Dr. Gabor Maté explains it.
An addiction is a complex psychological, physiological process, but which manifests in any behavior that a person enjoys, finds relief in, and therefore craves in the short term, but suffers negative consequences in the long term and doesn't give up despite the negative consequences.
Wow, listen to the doctor and this is what you get. Let me break it down so that it's easier for us to understand. So, an addiction is a complex psychophysiological process. Okay, we know it's complex. But let's understand more and simplify it. He states that an addiction is simply a behavior that a person finds temporary pleasure or relief, and therefore has cravings, suffers negative consequences in the long term, and has trouble giving up. And there are many things people can be addicted to: alcohol, gambling, pornography, and of course, nicotine. It is very important for you and I to understand what is an addiction, because once we understand each and every of these components, we know that addiction is not a disease. Nobody is born with an addiction. A baby is never addicted to milk or sugar. A child is never addicted to ice cream or video games. Because they do not have cravings, their body do not go haywire if they don't get any of these. We also know that addiction is not a choice, because you just cannot give up. You want to give up, you choose to give up, but you just fail to give up. That's the most important question. If it's so hard to give up addiction, can we overcome addiction? If we are addicted to smoking, are we doomed to smoke for life? It really depends on what we do to give up smoking. Many people try to put on a nicotine patch or try to distract themselves with some other activities. While this may work in the short term, it does not solve the root cause. You are just putting a plaster over the splinter on your finger. As long as a splinter is still there, your finger will never heal.
Addiction treatment is failing is because physicians don't understand this. They keep dealing with the effects, which is the addiction, and the behaviors, which are the effects of the addiction, but not the cause, which is the childhood distress.
Dr. Gabor Maté suggests that the root cause to an addiction is due to childhood distress. And this is supported by many research and studies. Childhood physiological trauma can promote addictive behaviors in adults. So if you are having troubles trying to quit smoking, ask yourself, how was your childhood? Perhaps did your parents drink? Because a child simply can't have a happy childhood with a parent who's an alcoholic. Or were you bullied as a kid? Did you feel scared or alone as a child? And were you able to speak to someone about your feelings? There could be many other examples of childhood distress. A parent dying, violence in the family, divorce, neglect, abuse. Everyone is different. And that's why there's no one solution to fix every addiction problem. But once we understand the root cause, it is so easy to overcome the addiction through hypnosis. At this point, you may have a lot of questions about your addiction to smoking and how I can help you to quit. Well, I'm not sure if this is for you, but feel free to have a chat with me. Send me a message, ask me a question. I've helped tons of people to quit smoking once they've gone through a session with me. Who knows, you could be the next.